With your lips upon my neck, I say, I'm sorry I'm this way. Just a devil with no empathy. I try to look away from your face. I'm just trying to feel my chest through liquor, drugs, and sex. I'm just lying through the flex. These feelings are too complex. If you're trying to feel my chest, I'm not gonna say no. Cause just liquor, drugs, and sex will motivate me to flex.
Hello and welcome back to Run It Back, Oceania's #1 Valorant podcast, streamed live from my bedroom. The guys are just in the soundproof room next door, all the guys on screen that you can see. And look, we've made it. Some 18 episodes later and we're here at the season finale racket.
I know. It feels like it went by so quickly. Eh? It's been a very weird year, of course, in all aspects. But hey, we've made it to the end, and this is the finale for Run It Back for this year.
And indeed it is. And look, we've got absolutely two handsome roosters on the right side of the screen that you can see here. We've got Zenox, who is actually secretly Avril. He's kidnapped him, and we had to make a new overlay, very rushed. We've also got First Strike champion Iyen from ExoClan on. How you going, mate?
I'm doing good, boys. Doing good. Just pretty happy with the victory. Just celebrating.
Yeah.
Nothing much.
Now, I've got to say something in the pre-show before I introduce Zenox. But in about 5 minutes ago, Zenox didn't realize that Team Liquid had a Valorant team. So he's a bit of a fake fan. Do you want to address that quickly?
That's
Me?
enough.
I thought you were asking Iyen.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm asking you, bro. I'm
Oh,
asking
I
you.
don't know.
You're the fake- He's trying to
We'll say,
sound
look,
like-
we'll say this, that the last time I was on a Snowball sort of ran show, it was the Snowball esports show. I
Yep.
found out there was a Team Liquid R6 team. This time I found out there's a Team Liquid Valorant team. What can I say? #1 fan.
I'm just gonna say that. Are you just wearing the blue because it coordinates with the Snowball colors at this point?
I just like the jersey. Okay, is there anything wrong with that?
It's a nice jersey. Give
Thank
that,
you.
mate.
Yeah.
Yes. Who knows? Maybe one day Iron will be in the Team Liquid North America jersey.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hashtag rumors.
But I wouldn't want fake fans like you, though.
Ah, that's it. I'm done already.
But would he be a fake fan at that point if he actually knows your name though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
He has to
I
have the name though on the jersey.
I think he's got some PUBG player on the back or something.
Yeah.
That would be the classic Zenox brand.
No, I reckon he's got his own name in the back.
It's the PUBG manager. Team Liquid.
Not even a player, just the manager.
Very hype. Very hype.
Yeah.
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 Look,
All right.
before
Well, look,
we-
it's not all about me, okay? Let's move on.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure the run sheet says it's just 60 minutes of Zenox. But all right, we'll move on because we know Iyen is a certified champion now. We haven't really had a regional championship. I guess Ignition Series was kind of a little bit like that, but now it's a definite regional champion in ExoClan through First Strike. But well before now, Iyen has been around in a lot of titles, well, mainly CSGO, but I'm interested to hear your story through to Valorant, Iyen. Tell us for the viewers.
I first started playing COD, actually. I played COD MW3, competitively, when back in Cyber Gamer days. It was pretty fun.
Okay.
And then when COD died, everyone in COD pretty much moved to Counter-Strike. And we started just playing matchmaking, just grinding matchmaking for hours and hours. And then eventually after matchmaking, there was IPGN. We started playing IPGN for a while. And then Face It and ESCA started coming out in Australia. We started playing that. And then once you kind of get good there, you get noticed and you start making friends. And then I joined teams. I don't know. I've played in Legacy, Avant, Chiefs, for CS. I think my first international event was with Avant to Malaysia to Rock Masters. It was 5 of us, super young. We're not sure how we qualified, but we did. That was my first major. CS event overseas, and then my second one was with Chiefs, with Texter and Infrequent from Wildcard. We went to China for Extremes Land. And then that's like kind of my CS career. And then what happened? I stopped playing CS because uni. Because of uni, it's getting stressful, so I stopped. And then I'm nearly done uni, so and Valorant came out. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a go. Played beta. Game was like super fun, even though it was on 200 ping. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a try. And then like really enjoyed the game, so just started playing it, and then like some comps, and then just met Plix, and I mean I knew Plix from uni, goes to the same uni, played CS with Dizzy, so just all came together and just made a team really.
So, like, how much is your PayPal feeling right now after you paid off Avant and Legacy in the first strike bracket? You know,
Mate, don't need none of that, mate. Just winning with them, that's it.
all skill.
Yeah.
How much does that international LAN experience come into it? Because that would make you the most experienced player on the EXO Clan roster, having all that international LAN experience. Like, you also did WSG, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I played I qualified, but I didn't end up going.
Okay, yeah.
I think me and Dizzy probably have the most experience. We've like played a lot of national events, like Nats events. I don't know if Dizzy's been overseas yet. I think he has, but like he's good enough. He's probably better than me anyway. But yeah, it helps. This experience helps. I don't know. It just gives you confidence, really. Like I don't. Yeah.
Now, to ask the most cliched question in history, how did it feel to win first strike?
Oh, it felt great, you know, especially because we lost the Chiefs Mex thing, and we shouldn't have lost that, man. Like we threw so hard. All the maps went to like OT. It was just like we were so down after it. We were like, this is like the worst feeling ever. So like, you know, just to go into first strike and just absolutely demolish everyone, it was a pretty good feeling. It was like the preparation paid off because we knew we were the better team, and we just had to not choke and just stay confident and calm, really, and that's what we did.
Sort
you
of.
guys-
Oh, sorry.
No, you go right.
So to add on to that, actually, since you and Order have met each other in so many finals, were you looking at just to like see your philosophy through this? Were you looking at like that Mind Freak game and thinking, okay, even though Order will be the harder opponent, we still want to verse Order because we want to get vengeance on these guys?
Oh, 100%. I wanted to play Order, like for sure. I wanted to beat them. I don't know if it would be a grand final if we played Mind Freak because, you know, everyone knows EXO Order 1-2, either way you put it. You know, so wanted to play Order, wanted to beat them. That's happened.
And like, it wasn't just a simple victory for you guys. Like, it was a dominant victory. Like, it was, you guys didn't drop a single map throughout Rise of Valor and First Strike. And then when you got into the group stage, you didn't even lose a map by more than 9 rounds. Like,
Yeah.
that is the most dominant victory in East Valorant history.
Yeah, so like I don't know. I personally had 2 goals. I think like I had a talk with Crunchy before this. Is like goal number 1, the first goal, win first strike. Second goal, not drop a map the whole competition, and we didn't drop a map, so both goals were met. Like can't ask for anything better, really. Like, you know, just not dropping a map just made another statement. Like we're the best.
Yeah. I mean, Zenox, you got the opportunity to cast these guys. Like, how is it looking on this level of play?
I mean, when did I cast them? Semi-final against Legacy, which was a stomp, wasn't it? I mean, and also Wildcard, which was a stomp too. So I
They're
I
all
would probably,
stomps.
yeah. I mean, well, winning the grand final was a stomp as well. All I can say is I felt like we didn't even really see what EXO Clan can do if they get pushed to their like absolute limits. I mean, obviously Iyen probably is the better person to speak about that, but the whole way through it just looked like at one moment I can't remember if it was Wildcard or Legacy. It might have been Legacy, but there was a moment where like someone from EXO got their kill stolen. And then it just looked like a ranked scenario where the other guy's pissed that his kill was stolen. So he just runs forward, looking to get like a kill back and steal it from someone else. Like that shit's like to do that in a semi-final of First Strike.
Yeah. Plix got bored against Wildcard in the second map, so he just started running it down binday short. Like whatever led. Just 4v5 start of the round.
You could see that. You could visibly see that. And so it just, I think, shows that, you know, I mean, I don't want to say they got bored. I mean, if you want to say that, Iyen, you can say that. But I think it shows that the level of competition wasn't the same until at least the grand final, where it got closer. But still, in this case, even far above order. So I will say this, though. Over the next 6 months to a year, if ExoClan aren't overseas, then there are a chance that teams could eventually catch up. Eventually. Because then if you're just constantly stomping, they're learning. Like the other teams are learning. Whereas like, well, you're still going to be really good, but I think there's more of a case that they can eventually catch up by learning, by losing. You always learn best when you lose. So
I mean, I'd expect them to catch up if not they're clearly not doing something right. Like, you know,
I mean,
there's so many VODs to watch. Like, if you don't catch up, you're clearly not doing something right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also like you guys have to, you eventually hit a ceiling, and I think you guys have almost hit that ceiling when it comes to playing in Oceania. Like, there's only so many good teams that you can play on ANZ ping that makes practice worth doing outside of just running around in a custom like Bob doing arrows for 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even scrim order. So, like the best other team, we don't scrim them, right? So it's just we scrim everyone else under it. So that's the practice we get.
Does that like weigh you guys down? Like, do you like? Obviously, it would in terms of like we're not getting practice against the number 2 team in the region, but like, does that also affect you mentally in how like you want to be getting better practice, but you feel like you're being constricted by the fact that you're in OS?
Look, it's probably like good for both teams to play each other, but it's going to be a lose-lose situation for both teams because you don't want to. You want to practice what you want to do stuff in scrims that you practice, but you don't want to show your literally arch rivals what you're doing. So, I mean, it's not worth it, I reckon, to practice them.
I think the other part of it as well is the international aspect of esports. If you look at like most titles, you have like the best team in a region. We'll use obviously Oceania. Then they get that opportunity to go overseas and they play against like other really, really good teams. They can learn. They obviously don't usually win, but they learn from losing and they can gain a few tips and tricks that they bring back. And it keeps them at that top in the region, always at arm's length away from the teams below them. And it's like a repeat. Then you're always the best in this region. You then go overseas, you learn more, and you use that experience. So, like, let's say there's 4 quarters in a year, 1, 2, 3, 4 chances to go overseas. The first one you suck. The second one you get a bit better. The third one you get even better, and then the fourth one maybe you get out of groups or something like that. You know, and but that whole year you're always going to be at arm's length away from the rest of your region because you're getting that invaluable international experience. If there's no international experience in Valorant that you can even garner, that's even worse for a team like ExoClan. Because you're not even going overseas. You're not even going to like a Worlds or something, you know? Like you win and then everyone learns. Except like, I mean, you learn, as obviously I'm sure Exo have learned maybe some things, but it's not as valuable as the other teams who lost.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything you guys have taken out from First Strike?
I don't know. Taking anything from First Strike. Well, the best.
They took the money. They took the money.
I'm just surprised at how well we can adapt because it used to be bad, and how well we can adapt. Like order, like I said, order. If you watch it, like you can just see so much stuff that you won't see from both teams. Usually when they play other teams, like it's like anti-strat central. There was anti-strats all maps.
Yeah, I remember chatting to when I was chatting to Crunchy for the interview that I did. If you haven't checked it out on snowbleedsports.com, please do that. It's wonderful. Definitely not patting myself in the back here, but like he pointed out one specific thing to me, which I noticed in the final on Bind, where basically every time Tux had knives, he would try and push through hookah to get you an elbow.
Yeah, so
like, they would just lay down the smoke so that your camera was rendered useless, and then they would push through and knife you. But like that only worked once.
Yeah, so pretty
Yeah.
much like we're so good at retaking. We practiced it so much on every map. We decided all right, we're just gonna play retake bind as well. Like retake the whole B side. Like we played that throughout the whole competition, and so obviously that's what they exploited.
Yeah.
And now I know why they picked bind, because they picked bind third map, right? Which was I wasn't expecting it at all. I thought they were gonna pick split. I don't know why did they just pick split, but now I know because they clearly had a game plan going into bind is to abuse the hell out of me playing solo B site, which they did at the start of the like one round, and then like straight away, I was like, okay, Dizzy, pick up the orb, come B, just kill him, and that's what happened.
So actually, onto that conversation as well in relation to the series and like you versus Order. One thing that is like a bit of a comparison that people look with you to is, you know, EXO is probably the more flexible of both of the teams, right? Like Order wants to sort of refine their own style within a very similar team composition. They've been running throughout the whole tournament. You guys have different agents for different maps. How did that sort of impact the series in that way? Because that does like add an element of depth, right?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I think everyone in Order can play different agents. I just don't think their agent selection, like with like their players, are not playing the correct agents. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think Autumn should be like on Jet AWPing. That guy is insane on Jet. He should not be playing Cypher, right? I think that's the biggest mistake. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes with Autumn, but if you've seen Autumn play Jet, you know he could just kill anyone if he's on Jet. Like it's crazy. So
That's how he
I
got
think.
noticed, isn't it?
Sorry.
That's how he got noticed.
I
Like,
mean, even when he was playing in God Squad with four of us and without Crunchy, he was AWPing on Omen and like literally killing everyone.
Yeah.
Like you need
He's
to
a
put him.
god tier aimer.
You need to put him on the AWP. He's the best AWPer. He's one of the best AWPers in the whole region. He has to be on the AWP. Like simple as that. But yeah, back to your question. Like I don't think having a bigger like agent pool is the case. I just think Order don't have the right players and the right agents.
That's an interesting point because when you look at agent diversity throughout First Strike, Order actually has the lowest out of all the Oceanic teams. They only picked 6 different agents, I think, maybe 7. I haven't checked recently, but like on every map, they would basically force the same 4 agents and then flex one. And like some maps that was a Sober flex or a Cypher flex for like a Killjoy or something else. But like every map was stock standard for them, Breach, Omen, Jet. And that's a very quintessential OS thing. But then like you got guys on Dick Stacy who just like loves playing Sober on every map, even on Split, which is I'm pretty sure is now internationally known as being very suboptimal. And I think their agent diversity just isn't as good as when you look at someone like EXO and you've got someone like Plix who has literally played 6 different agents in officials and had a 7th off his sleeve for Icebox that we didn't get to see.
Yeah. What was it? With the agents, yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, Plix pretty versatile, man. Got to give it to him. He play whatever agent we ask him to. You know, what a legend. Yeah, with Order, what they have, I think they play Breach on every map. Order.
Yes.
Where else? I think that's the meta though, right? We're a bit weird in where we don't play Breach on Ascent. Because I think it just doesn't suit our style. We don't play Breach on Ascent and we don't play Breach on Bind.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't suit our style. Like I've tried playing Breach on Bind in scrims before this competition because some of my teammates said we need a breach, and I'm like, no, we don't need a breach, man. We play to our strengths. Like, I don't want to play breach. I hate the fucking character. Like, fuck this guy. I don't want to play him. Like, you know. So like, we just stuck to Cypher. Like, you gotta play. You gotta play to your style. Like, I know, like I'm mates with Pixel, and I know his team made him play breach as well. Like, you need to put him on Sage, man. He just carries your team. Like, why are you taking out your best? Like your strongest agent where you have so much impact on and putting him on like an agent, and then they've like Wildcard did so many different agent changes, and then Pixel ended up on Omen. Like, I don't know, it's just like hella weird. You just got to play to your strengths. I think that's the number one. Stop trying to copy the meta. Like there is a meta, but you can tweak the meta a bit to your strengths. You don't have to copy exactly what every team's doing.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much undisputed now that EXO is the best team in Oceania, but like in your eyes, how far ahead of the rest of the competition are you?
I don't know. Maybe after the first strike win, I'd say there's a little bit of a gap. Like just a little bit of a gap between us and Order. Probably like a bit bigger than before. But then everyone else down under there, like there's a huge gap, I think, personally. Like I don't know. I don't know if Order played bad or we just played good. It's hard. We played really well, honestly. On T side, if you watched our T side, we knew that they over rotate so much, and we abused that. Like we just made them over rotate over and over, and just abused the fact that they do it, and had a free bomb site so many of the times.
Having played, I guess, sort of against, we'll keep it sort of just top 8 here, but having played against a lot of those other top 8 teams, disregarding order here, but like from your own perspective, how close do you sort of see the other 6 teams, right? Your Direwolves, your Avant, your Mind Freaks, your Wildcards, your Legacies, for instance. Do you sense that they're all sort of just grouped in together, all lumped together, or do you see some little gaps between them?
I think the problem with all those teams is they're so inconsistent. Like one day they'll beat that one team, and then they'll lose to another team you don't expect them to lose. Like Mind Freak, like they'll lose to all these like teams out of the top 8, and then they'll make it to the semifinals of first, right?
It's just because
Direwolves
they
will-
get played against, they just get matched against Direwolves every tournament. It's just like, well, shit. I guess Direwolves just loses to Mind Freak.
Yeah,
again.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I guess Direwolves beats everyone else and then loses to Mind Freak. Like I don't know. It's just, and then Avant like just play bad throughout all of first strike, and then top their group and almost beat whoever they played. Like it's just, I think they're just these guys just need more consistency. That's the key for them now, so they can actually solidify a proper rank. You can't. I don't even know who to rank 3, 4, 5, 6. Honestly, in the top 8, it's just everywhere.
Well, especially in in a series where it's a best of 3 or a best of 5, I feel like that's where they're missing a lot of the energy too. Like especially when they go up against you or Order, sometimes they get sort of close if they're really, really doing well, and then you just see a ludicrous decision on like a really fatal round that they need to win, and it's like you can clearly see that these guys need more refinement for these high pressure scenarios, because you look at like a lot of the top rosters, it's like between you and EXO, there's obviously a bunch of experience, and through over time, like you can learn how to deal with those high pressure situations. We've seen quite a few moments where these teams within the top 8 have like an opportunity to have a break point, if I were to refer to a tennis term, but then they absolutely like shit it. Like they shit it so hard. And with EXO and Order, they take those every single day of the week. It's like, yep. No worries. We are going to convert on that. If you make a mistake, we will punish you 100% of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just comes to being disciplined and I don't know, trusting your teammates. I think a lot of these, I don't know. I'm seeing like a lot of these teams outside the top 8. They don't trust their teammates often. They like over rotate and I don't know. I think you just got to trust your teammates.
Have some
I
faith.
guess. Yeah, have some faith in them holding your bomb site, and learn how to retake the site properly. So like have practice all this before you come into your games, because as you say, all your work is going to be done before the comp. Like if you've done your work before the games, like you're going to make your life like 1,000 times easier. It's for anything really, not just video games.
Yeah. There is one important piece of the puzzle that hasn't been talked a lot from EXO, but I myself only learned of this after you guys won First Strike, and it's Michelle. And now we've talked extensively about Michelle in the past. Pocket Psych, for those who don't know her, who worked with Pants Down previously and then also helped you guys out with First Strike. How much of a help is having a person like Michelle on your support staff?
Oh, I think it's really good, like just individually and as a team. So like once I think once Max was done, she announced that she was no longer with Pants Down, and we were like, okay, look, I think our biggest problem is ourselves, mental block, bad attitude, getting tilted. I think that was our biggest problem. It was not like in-game problem. It was more like mentally out of game problem, mental block, and she helped us with that. Going through talking about different stuff and how to work on them, why we do these stuff, and working with us individually. I know she helped Plix a lot. Plix a funny guy. Little saddie sometimes, gets a bit of emo. But yeah,
Way
she
to call him out.
She call him the
Sometimes
negative.
you just W keys it up blind day.
We
Sure,
call
you said it yourself.
we call him Negative Nancy in our team, but
Oh.
it's fine. He frags up, so it's all right. It can be negative sometimes.
Look, we've got Plix in Twitch chat saying Iyen abuses me 10 times every day. Now he only abuses me 8 times a day. So obviously there is some improvement, 20% improvement at that. So
100%. Like we all get less tilted now. We joke around. We acknowledge each other more when we're good players. This all comes from Michelle helping us. Making the team environment better. So she was definitely a part of winning first strike for us.
Is there something that she sort of like, I guess, reiterates? Because when you guys are winning, I mean, we all know when you're winning, you're happier. No one's really going to tilt as much. To sort of remember that in the off chance you're in a tournament and maybe things just aren't going well and you're not winning, to just remember, hey, it's been a while since we've sort of lost. Let's not tilt here. Like, are there sort of strategies that have been, I guess, implemented for future effects rather than like the current?
Even now that comes into play, like she's taught us how to deal with losing rounds. Like when you lose a round that you shouldn't have lost, you get kind of tilted, right? Like I'd get tilted when I'm calling if my team does something dumb, and I get tilted. Like it's like, okay, it's happened, move on. We used to dwindle about it after the round, which is a bad habit. Like we used to talk about it. Like
it's like
it's all gone now. Like
little
never
things
happened.
like feedback is more left better after the match.
Never
rather than
happened
during
once.
the match.
Never happened once this tournament.
That's good. That's good. And I think this also raises a pretty interesting point that I'm just going to generally point out. And it's been a discussion in other esports scenes as well, is the value of coaches is questionable at times for some people, but there is always infinite value in esports psychs because of the nature of the players that you're dealing with, often young players who are in their teens to their early 20s. That the psychology aspect plays a way important part than telling them strategies, especially as you get up to the higher levels. So I feel like working with an esports psych when you are the best team or like one of the best teams and you want to improve, and a coach isn't just doing that because you can only make so many strats, that is the next evolution of coaching. And I think we're slowly starting to see that with the more esports ecosystems that are picking that up, like Astralis. As much as I like all the shit that's come out with how they've treated their CSGO team in the past, but they have also got esports psychs on board, and that's why they are 4-time major winners. And you look at all these other teams across an NA through the LCS and CSGO and Rainbow Six and basically any other title, all of these top teams are working with esports psychs.
It's not even top teams. You should see the LG Divine from PUBG have like 200 staff, and that's just some like APAC team. They've got chefs, they've got esports
200.
Maybe not 200. It looks like that. They put out a big like sort of photo.
What
There would have been
this?
LG or Divine Esports. They're LG Divine now. It's Southeast
send
Asia.
us over to SNA Divine Esports.
Maybe it was like 50, 70 people, but it was a lot. Like but you're then this team is playing against a team like Fury who has no one. You know what I mean? Like
they have the 4 boys in the server, and that's
the four guys in the server versus this team that's got chefs cooking for them, mental psychologists, that they've got strat coaches. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a different sort of bloody stratosphere that they're competing with. And obviously, look, a game like Valorant, that's going to be the case as well. If you take, ExoClan, send them overseas against some top EU or NA team who have probably got that sort of environment around them, where they've got coaches, they've got chefs, sous chefs, and everything in between.
Like it's player managers on player managers, like that kind of a deal. Yeah, and I guess that also plays into the part that OCE has always had a resource gap in the region, but at least I feel like a person like Michelle can bridge that somewhat. So hats off for making possibly the best decision of your career in EXO so far, by picking her up.
Thank you.
I'm always going to say nice
It was
things
all
about
me.
Michelle.
It was all me.
And in this case as well, if you've got quality, it's better than quantity, right? So having one of her who's going to be able to help out so immensely is better than having, two random crappy coaches and like a talent handler and someone else. Like it's what
Yep.
you get out of it. If it's just one person, that's fine.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna bring us back just one little step because I know Iyen said that it's really awfully difficult to rank teams like 3 to 8 in the region. Well, we're gonna put everyone to this panel on the test because I have deviously asked Joshua Swift behind the camera to put up a tier list maker that we can now rank the top 16 teams in OS with minus Riot Gaming because they're now dead. I feel bad for my boy Kaido. I don't know why we just don't have an EXO tier, but you know what, Josh? Just leave it as is. I'm pretty sure we can just slide EXO in first at S. And look, oh wait, hold on, he's changing the text.
There we go. We'll have to talk about that one, fellas.
Yeah, look,
Undisputed.
hot take, but I think EXO might be the best team in OS. I'm not gonna be
I
like.
mean, we might actually need more tiers, right? Because you would expect Order to be in the A tier, and then there's a gap again.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Look, Josh is fiddling around, but I feel like as we do it, like, I think we've got like a pretty set like 1-2 where it's gonna be like EXO tier and then Order S tier. But then after that, it's just gonna be a mess. And then we have the SEA teams because as Plix said in his tweet the other day, if OCE was allowed to play in SEA qualifiers for VCT, Order, EXO, and one other OCE team would be going to VCT.
He's not wrong.
Have you guys scrimmed SEA teams by any chance?
Tomorrow will be the first one.
Oh,
What are the expectations going into that?
Oh, we're playing on Singapore server, so they'll be on like 10 ping and we'll be on like 100, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you know.
they'll need it, mate. They'll need it.
Yeah, they'll need all the luck they can get. I look, as someone who lives in Perth, I've heard 100 ping before. I've played on 100 ping before. For me, that's kind of like nothing. But for someone who like you're based in Melbourne, yeah, Iyen, so like
It's
20 ping to 100 ping is an astronomical difference.
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference. All right, let's talk about this. Avril, if you watch this VOD back, mates, there is no chance that any Oz team is beating any American team. I reckon tier 3, even us will not beat them on 200 ping. I know you've played in NA before, okay? So you should know that this isn't bloody Overwatch, mate. Like, you literally can't kill the guys with 200 ping. It's impossible.
just swing them.
All right, Avril?
Just be aggressive.
I had to get it out there.
This is a bloody
We've
Overwatch,
seen
man.
that Plix. We've seen that clip of Plix like swinging out on Sinatra. Like, just do that every round, bro.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Can I just say here, because it's a good topic, but it's very game dependent, isn't it? Like in a game like Valorant, you can't. You really can't. There are other titles where you can kind of get away with it, where you can
Like
kind of make it
Overwatch.
work. Overwatch is one of them. PUBG is another one where it can also be done, as we've evidently seen. There are certain titles where I think, if the action is just in that not a snap sort of scenario, like a game like Valorant or CS, where it's just like you get that little 0.5 millisecond reaction, you can kind of get away with it. But yeah, good luck. Even 100 ping versus 10 is just so unfortunate.
Huge difference in games like this in CS. Like, I'm telling you, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
You see them and you're dead before you can even shoot a bullet. Like, it's just
Yeah.
unplayable, man.
Yeah, I remember someone posting a clip of them holding an angle and like they shot before the other guy was even in frame and they still died. I was like, oh, okay, guess that's just what it is. Might have been an old Crunchy clip actually. I was going through his Twitter the other day. Anyways, let's dive into this tier list. I look, I'm just going to be pretty confident and I'm going to be pretty blasé about this. I'm pretty sure we can put Order in S tier and Momentum based in C tier. I'm very sorry to Momentum based, but you know what? That's just happening.
No, but there's no debate there, man. That's fine by me.
Look, there's no RIP tier for Riot Gaming with the exclamation mark, not to be confused with Riot Games, the publisher of Valorant, but they're not on this list. We've taken the top 16 teams from Rise of Valor. Now, in S tier, and I would like to make an argument here for Legacy, I think they are quite possibly S tier and just about to take Order, but I'm not sure what everyone else thinks of that.
I'm hiding.
Okay, me no.
Why are you hiding? You're wearing a liquid
know.
jersey, bro. There's nothing that you have to worry
I don't know.
about. They're not on this tier
no.
list.
Man, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't actually feel like I'm able to even judge this because I haven't even been able to really watch a lot of the Rise of Valor because I was casting on those actual days. I don't feel qualified enough to call it, but from what I've seen, I would say A tier. I think they're relatively fresh as a team, and I just want to see a bit more from them.
Yep, I agree. They are definitely not an S tier. I think if we see them in a situation where they are in a best of 3 and they're like hauling it through for the whole time and keeping it competitive, then I could see them being within the same area
Yeah.
as Order. But
Like
you
they
know,
almost lost to Avant, really. Like
yeah, exactly. They're
as a-
wildly inconsistent. They can,
as a 2-0
tank it
could
up.
go, it was really close. So
They can do well against good teams. I mean, they've had some good upsets, but it's like then they have matches against. They should theoretically be much better in terms of teams, and it's like,
Hmm.
The inconsistency. That's a real thing for them, I think. But they do have real big highs. I must admit.
I think their potential is that S tier. I don't know about EXO
Yes.
tier.
Yeah.
But I'd say S tier is their
I
potential.
mean, Iyen, you have lost the map to Legacy before, so what's your opinion on this?
Look, they have a lot of experience, right? Ferg, he can do things that other people can't, but I don't know. It's so weird, that team, man. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what they're doing. Honestly, like how are you losing to Avant? Like what? But yeah, I don't know. It's like they're low S tier to high A tier. It's one of those things. But you can't put them in the same tier as Order. You can't.
If you put Legacy in the S tier, that means Avant is close to them based off what we saw in the quarterfinals. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh look.
It's relative
There we
power,
go.
Kayla.
We're slowly filling this out. Do we just want to go from like left to right on the bottom here? We can just jump into Avant right now because I feel like Avant, if we're talking about inconsistent teams, Avant is probably the most inconsistent team an inconsistent team could ever be. Because you look at how they did at Mex and it was woeful, and then you look at how they started off First Strike and it was woeful, and then all of a sudden they start pulling rabbits out of a hat when it comes to group stage. Now, look, I hate to rag on about this. Not sure how favorable the group stage draw was to them, if not very. But I feel like they're a solid team. But yeah, I'm not willing to put them in A tier. They're a B tier team to me. Anyone else?
No, I agree.
Yeah, B team sounds fair.
B, I think it's a B lock.
If you look at it like this, at least from my perspective, they're a team that could lose to a C team and they could probably beat an A team. Like they're that wildly inconsistent, right? So that's probably B.
Yeah.
We'll see who's on the C tier quite soon, fellas. So we don't need to worry about that.
We've already locked one in. We've already locked one in.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
One's in there.
Yeah. All right. Over to Direwolves. I'm interested to hear your opinions on this one, Raka.
All right. Direwolves, probably A, right? Like, they are a very strong team, I feel, and the Mind Freak game was very unfortunate for them. Otherwise, they haven't had the most consistency, but I think they are one of the more consistent teams out of like that bubble, right? That we sort of alluded to before, right? I think they definitely do have it in them, and I think they are one of the only teams that exist, like along with Legacy, that have as like their current roster have potential to have more upside in contention with like Order, for example. I think they're quite a talented team.
It's just don't put them on the same side of the bracket as Mind Freak.
Yes, exactly. That's
proven time and time again.
That's his kryptonite, apparently.
I've seen you smirking and nodding the entire time we've been talking about Direwolves, Iyen. What are your thoughts?
Oh, nothing. I think you can't. You have to put them at A tier. Like you don't even know if they're better than Legacy or Legacy better than them. You can't say. You have to put them on A tier.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm like to make this quick. I would probably just put Direwolves and Mind Freak on the A tier and call the A tier a day.
All right, I've got a controversial take about that.
No, I don't agree with that.
You wouldn't put Mind Freak on the same level as Direwolves?
I think if you start putting Mind Freak on the same level as that, you have to put Fun Crew and Wildcard on the same level.
Well, this
No.
But
Well, this is the problem, right? Is that
Yeah.
I mean, like they literally beat Direwolves, regardless of if it was close, regardless as if Direwolves should have beaten them, could have beaten them if they had played better. I mean, they beat them, right? Like, and then
Yeah.
Mindfreak's first map on Haven, they probably should have even beat Order on that map. So if we're just going off sort of that recent result, it does show that they're at the very least on the same level of Direwolves. So if you're putting them on A, it's I don't know. I'm not going to want to disagree with Iyen. I don't really want to get into that because I trust that man's brain.
I don't know.
Hold
1,000 times higher
hold
than me.
strong on your opinion.
You have to. I don't know. You can put them on B or A, but I feel like if they're gonna make it to a semi-final of First Strike and also be pretty close with Order, they should have won the first map. They threw like
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone throw in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. that
You
was a big
you,
one.
you have to put them on A tier. I think. Like
Yeah.
you watch them play, they got some pretty good stuff, man. They just need to figure out how to. I don't know.
Wrong
Not
team,
throw.
Josh. We're talking about
No, not
Mindfreak,
Fun
Mindfreak.
Crew.
Yeah, I think we've decided it's Mindfreak A. It's Mindfreak A. I think on that case we just want to put Fun Crew B, guys. I think they're a really exciting team that's up and coming. Obviously, they haven't had the time in the sun yet outside of First Strike, but I think heading into 2021, Fun Crew is the #1 team that I am watching.
Yeah, I mean they from memory took a map of Gravitas, Avant as well from memory as well.
They beat. They took a map off Avant. They took a map off Gravitas. They beat Momentum Base. It was all very
Yes.
close throughout their qualification. Actually, no.
I know-
Did they? Hold on.
Well,
I'm trying to
they
remember.
also had that that
They
really close
beat. No,
match of
they
Order.
beat.
They
They
beat
beat
Order.
Gravitas.
They beat Order.
They
didn't
beat Gravitas the first time around and then lost
Yes,
to them in
yes,
the
they
second
beat
game.
Order. They beat Order 15-13 as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like I look at those best of one results, I can't really.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sketchy. It's sketchy.
Look, that's like the most fringe like A tier team. I think it's just something that we just need to see more of. Like
Well,
we need to see more of them.
Not that I'm on Wikipedia here, but in that match against Avant, it was 15-13 on that third and deciding map. There's a world out there. You win a couple of cheeky rounds or win a few more 50-50s, right? And then you win that and you're into the First Strike. So yeah, B.
I'm just gonna chime in with what Bob said in Twitch chat here. If EXO versus Fun Crew in a best of 5, Fun Crew wins. So like maybe we just need a whole new tier. The tier list is out the window. But I think I'm pretty happy with having them in B tier. But they're
Lock it in, Eddie.
I think it's a lock in any moment. But
Lock it in, lock
they're
it
very
in.
exciting stuff. Which one are we doing next? I feel like we should just go to Gravitas.
Yeah, Gravitas.
B.
Oh, this
They
is
fall-
hard.
They fall.
Probably B, right?
I don't know. I'll put them as the last team in A tier, really.
Yeah, I think they're the last A tier team as well. They're much the same
Yeah.
as Legacy, where we haven't seen enough of them yet, but what we've seen is very good.
They did
Elm-
take
Yeah,
the map
also,
off Order.
also before we get too far into this discussion, does anyone know what the hell's happened to Elsno? Because he was meant to be their main starter, and now they've played Cloxy the entire time.
Yeah, I had to go to surgery and
Okay,
couldn't play, so Cloxy's like replacing him for now.
all right. Well, Godspeed to
Yeah,
Elsno.
geez.
Hopefully, he gets better soon. But yes, there is a lot of potential in that Gravitas roster. They've shown very good results, and I'm a big Noz fan, so I'm very excited to see what they can do in the future. I think it's also funny while we're talking about this is that all the teams that were directly invited to the close quals made it to First Strike.
Yes. Well,
there's
even though
there's-
Gravitas was seeded really poorly,
Yeah,
right? Like they had to climb a really high mountain in order to get where they did, right? So, props to them. That is that's some good context as to the feats that they've done throughout the tournament. I suppose like looking at results doesn't tell the full story or what they had to deal with there.
I mean, I am looking back on that. We just talked about best of ones, but like you were 10-2 up, I think, on the Ascent match against them in the first round of the Swiss, and then they took you to max regulation. So it was a very close game.
Yeah, I mean, no, you have to put. I think you have to put them in A tier, like with their players and what they've done. I mean, they nearly beat Order, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like taking a map off Order isn't easy. Oh, you're talking about Kanga?
Now we're talking about Kanga. We're moving to Kanga now.
Sorry. Okay. Talk about inconsistency. There's no team more inconsistent than this team. I'm telling you right now. These guys, what? They went like,
They were second seed and then they went out in groups.
yeah, and then in Mex they just bombed out as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hot take. I'm not even sure if it's a hot take. I think Kangaroo are a C tier team. And the reason why I
agree.
think Kangaroo are a C tier team is they are up there with Avant levels of inconsistency. In fact, it is a Kanga level of inconsistency. Avant doesn't reach that level.
Yeah.
And while they've shown a lot of promise in previous tournaments, I feel like as time's gone on, Kanga's really lost their spark and they've lost their charm. I'm not sure if they've just got a bad read on the meta or their players aren't playing the game as much as they used to do. But the Kanga that was making names in Ignition series is basically non-existent now. And like there are some serious changes that roster needs to make heading into VCT next year if they want to make an impact.
Yeah, probably. I probably agree with that. Probably top of C tier, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top of C tier. They're not quite in B tier, but they have really, really good upside, right? Like they beat teams that made it into the finals, I believe. But those were in, of course, best of ones, so Kanga can sort of do that. But once again, with these types of competitive formats, you need to have experience in winning the non-best of ones, which is something that they have had problems with.
All right, Kanga C tier lock. Let's blaze through these final five. Got McTeam.
Oh, mate, put them in C tier, all right?
Yeah,
Fucking
that's
bunch
it.
of
That's it,
memers.
Look,
No, I love them.
they need to play more, but
Some of them are my good mates.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know. They're just trolls.
they're great. Look, they're funny guys.
Trolls.
I know they're guys from CS. Good names. All right, Nebula. I think they're C tier as well, but they're also one of those very promising teams.
Yeah,
that are
watch out
starting
for
to
this
make a
team.
name. They're starting to make a name for themselves. Any time that I get to talk about my boy Dario or Kraken, I will take at any possible opportunity. I was watching them last night play LPL Summer against ShadowNet, and you know, like this team is looking really clean, and there was a very real possibility that they could have gotten further than they did in Max. Oh, not in Max, in First Strike. So, you know, I think this is a team like Fun Crew that people need to keep their eyes on.
Well, they had a pretty close match against Avant. Sorry, not Avant, Mind Freak, as well, right? As like their final match that they did there, which is good signs. Of course, the one before that was Kanga. So you know they didn't even lose to Mind Freak by a wide margin either, as well, right? So they were very well within striking distance, which you know shows that they do have good potential, and they have, you know, a Kraken of course, Ducky, mate. You like you and I are gonna fanboy over that, mate. The wonderful person that he is, but yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely do have some potential there, but they just you know haven't had the consistency. So yeah,
All right, Rip and Tear, B tier. I think that's.
B
I
tier.
think I think Rip and Tear are B tier. I think if you look at like that Max result, that was very promising. That was like at the peak of what we saw from Rip and Tear. But I feel like what we saw out of them in First Strike, even though they were seeded into the absolute group of death, I feel like they played worse. Like their level of play didn't resemble a team that should have been in the top 8. And while they're a very talented squad, it just feels like they're missing it. I feel like they're just missing some strategy. Like they've got good firepower, but they're just missing some stuff.
I don't know. I think if they went in Group D, they would have made it a top 8 easy.
You reckon?
Oh yeah. I think you put them in Group B, they would have made top 8. If you put them in
I'm pretty sure if
Group
you put
A,
any, I'm pretty sure if you put them in Group C, most teams make it out of top 8. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm going to rag on about that, but Group C was very poorly seeded.
that's what I'm saying. If you put them in any other group, they could have made top 8. They could beat Mind Freak. They probably make it out of Group B and C.
So do you reckon
Yeah.
they're A tier?
It's hard to say. It's either high B tier, low A tier. You know, same thing. whatever.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one to talk about actually. Rip and Tear. When they are on form, they look very good. I think Water Bottle was a good example of when they are like getting into their own. That was a pretty dominant win by them, and Water Bottle has been hailed as like one of like up and coming teams. Coming up through there, but it's a weird one to gauge. I think it's a very weird one to gauge. I think probably, yeah. I think A is actually quite fair for them. I think A is quite fair. I think if they're not A, they're definitely at the top of B.
Look,
I'd put
Zen,
them at
I'm
the
not
top
sure
of
how
B.
much. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure how much you've seen Zenox, but like, you want to be the deciding vote?
Oh, I've seen enough of Rip and Tear. I think that I see the arguments for A and B. The problem is, it's like, do I feel comfortable putting them next to the teams in A? I think if there was like
Oh yeah. Okay,
an
okay.
AB, I'd put them in that AB. Like if there was a row, I definitely would put them above like Avant and Fun Crew. So
Top of
I
B.
think
Top of B then.
top of B's, yeah, and
Yeah. Look, I think the Water Ball and Wildcard also slot into that B tier. Like, I feel like Water Ball are a promising team, even though that, look, I'm just going to say the funniest thing in First Strike was seeing Legacy beat Water Bottle just because of the Pairs versus Panic rivalry. I'm not sure if you've seen that clip, but please go through Crunchy's Twitter to find it. It is an absolute gold mine. It's just domestic. Like that's the key word that you need to look for. Crunchy getting a mad 4K while Pairs and Panic having a domestic. And I think Wildcard with Pixel on Sage is A tier, and then Wildcard without Pixel on Sage is C tier. So I feel like this averages out to a B tier.
Might as well.
Like that, I think that's just how the math works at that
Yeah,
point.
I put them at the top of B tier though. Give them that a bit.
Yeah. Look, I think we've got the tier list here now, and then we've got the SCA teams, which we're not going to go through because they're all worse than the OCE top 16. Look, I love some of the guys. I love some of the guys that play in SEA. Like I love my boy Patapan, all out for Myth Attitude, but like they're not as good as the OS teams.
Amen.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Ian?
I think I said amen. Amen to that.
That's
Look,
it.
all I'm gonna say is that at the end of 2020, from the #1 Oceanic Valorant esports podcast, we are giving you the official undisputed OC Valorant power rankings from Run It Back. And look, these are undisputed.
Disclaimer, we could be wrong here.
No,
Oh,
we don't
come
want
on.
none of that language. Cut the shit.
Cut that.
This is the undisputed tier list. And I'm sure Dapsy is taking a screenshot and putting
Wait,
it right up.
take
on
a
the O'Reilly
screenshot,
Sports
put
Twitter.
it on Twitter, start a riot. Let's go.
At Ducky's predictions. It's all
Yeah.
Ducky.
Look. If
Share the pot.
Zenox, if OCN told us anything, we probably don't want me predicting anything.
We definitely don't. No.
So that I think wraps up the tier list segment of the show, which took up quite some time. It was a good chat though.
That was cool though.
Yeah, I think it's good that we finally have this on paper and we can use this as a ref. Oh my god, Josh is straight
Oh,
onto Twitter.
God.
Let him go. Yeah. So back to just the four of us. There is, I think there is a couple more topics that I want to brush off before we finish the show, and this is a hotly disputed thing now that we've had multiple interviews go out about it from Plix and Crunchy, and it's been a hot talking point. But where does OCE stack up internationally? I'm interested to hear this from you, Ian, the third EXO player we've had comment on this situation.
Okay, look. We're gonna beat every Southeast Asian team. Just gonna put it out there. Dude, I don't want to say anything about Brazilians, man. I'm scared.
You don't. I'll just say that you don't.
I'm living.
Brazil.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking about Brazil, guys. Moving on. I think us and Jupiter. I think we could beat Jupiter. Honestly, like, okay, this is all coming from watching, right? You can't say. It's just our opinions,
Yeah.
End of the day, guys, it's my opinion. Okay, I can be wrong. You can be salty. I don't give a shit. I think we can beat absolute Jupiter or like Japan region in general. I think Korea is. I think Vision there's Korea, and then there's Vision Strikers, right? They're at another
Yep.
level. I
It's
don't
like
know how.
OCE and ExoClan.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Vision Strikers, right? I don't know how it would go against them. I think it would be a really good game. Pretty close. We'd go to see. They play like a completely different style. And then there's the big two, right? EU and A.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say, man. Like it's just if you watch this, the meta's a bit different. The stars are a bit different. I think we can easily compete with the top 8. You want top 5. You know, maybe not the 100 Thieves. Like I watched them the other day, and man, they'd look good. That 100 Thieves team. Like I seen Steel do some Cypher stuff I've never seen in my life. I was like, holy shit, dude, this guy's insane.
Yeah.
And then like Team Heretics look good. Like they have some sharp ass players in there.
Yeah.
But like I can't say like, you know, okay, so like I'm just gonna put us like maybe we can get like top 5 in both Europe and A. You know, top 5, top 8. Let's just say top 8, all right. Top 8. And like I said, you know, all the other regions would beat bar like Vision Strikers, my
Okay.
opinion.
Let me put this as a hypothetical. Then I want to pitch this to all the guys here. Is if OCE, if ExoClan or Order or an OCE team was to get the 16th slot at Valorant Champions in December next year, and they went to an international LAN, would we come dead last?
Talking to me?
I'm talking to everyone. I'm just going to start out by saying no. I feel like we are better than some of the other regions.
Oh no,
like-
dude.
Like,
That'd be a bit of a stretch, saying last.
well, look, we've got to start from the bottom. Look, right, obviously, right now doesn't consider us a region, so you know we've got
That's
to
even worse
start
than last,
somewhere.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But like when you look at some of the power in LATAM, especially you look at Japan, Brazil, I feel like once you get there, OC starts to be cresting top 8, but it's international events and it's very hard to run it on just an eye test. I don't know what you guys think about this. I'll go to you, Zenox.
I got no idea. I'm not even gonna lie. I would say I'd be very surprised if it'd be dead last. That's all. I would be very surprised. But
Well-
where you would then be, I don't know.
It's weird. The coolest part of like an international event where you have multiple different regions is like the clash between the styles, right? Seeing the different meta between, you know, OCE, Japan, like Korea, and EU. And for me, that's going to be the more interesting part if like that was going to happen. I think, you know, EXO would be a good representative for OCE since they have shown to be more flexible in that area. And I think the fact that they are really confident helps them. Like if like we've seen interviews with EXO, they genuinely believe like they can compete with the best in the world. Like it isn't shit talk. Like I can look at you right now in the eyes, Iyen, and I can say, mate, like you're confident in your ability to compete with the best around the world, and that is like something that some people doubt themselves with, right? When they talk about their own skill level. So you know, I don't think you know ExoClan will win, but I don't think they'd come last either.
Can I just say, look, I mean, I've seen and I've seen this a few times now. Back in Overwatch, when we had a very very dominant team in Overwatch, was it Fusion Girls, right? And
Yeah,
they were like
and-
super dominant, and we're like, yeah, they can do amazing overseas, and they certainly did. They weren't like trash overseas.
Yeah.
You've seen it. I've seen it in like PUBG where we've had the Incognitos and the Atleticos go overseas. They've done really really well. Sometimes though, we see teams do really well in this region and they can't quite back it up overseas. I truly believe that ExoClan and even to a degree, I think even Order could do well. I'm talking on land environment here. But how well that is, you don't know. There's no way to actually know until games are played. And then we see also not just ExoClan versus other teams, but like EU versus NA, Korea versus NA and EU. It's such a fresh game. Like I love the guessing game as much as everyone else, but you look at titles like CS, which has been out for 20 years and shit. Like you kind of have a bit more of an understanding as to where things stack up. Right now, it's just all over the place. We don't really know until we get those lands, until you get those teams playing each other. It's hard to say.
Look, let's just say that. Look, we're just gonna win, all right, and that's it. Like, what if we get a team it's just an instant win. Right, should just give it to us through
I'd say this.
through getting the qualifying path alone. That just should just net us a victory.
I think the only people who would have an inkling as to how well a team could do overseas would be the players, because they can see the game at a level that others can't see. It's very easy for commentators or journalists to look at the games from that outside perspective and be like, oh, these guys are so great, they could go overseas. But I think when the players themselves actually watch those matches, like the NA First Strike or the Korea First Strike, they can probably see things that are happening and be like, oh shit, we don't see that here. Like that doesn't happen here. Teams don't do that here. And they probably have a better understanding. I mean, Iyen, you could probably speak to it a bit more, but you probably see things that others don't see that would make you, I guess, say, right, this region knows what's up.
Yeah, like I said, you watch 100 Thieves, and I know that they're better than us. There's no doubt about it, the stuff that they do. But like, I also watch Southeast Asia and Brazil, and I don't think
You
they're gonna.
say that so quietly. I wonder why.
I don't think they're gonna beat us, dude. Just saying.
You say that like there's gonna be like a legion of Brazilian fans on the Twitter, or like the mafia's gonna come after you. Bro.
It's
I've seen
happened
it.
before.
I've seen it.
And so, yes.
Look, you just go to Ryan at RBM's Twitter, and that man is just getting accosted by Brazilians on any tweet. Like, I'm not sure if you saw his Twitter this morning, but he tweeted about something random, and Brazilians added it with some Valorant statistics that said Brazil was good. Like,
oh God.
But yeah, and I think one last thing, and I think this is a really nice thing to tie the show off is we've had a lot of good and we've had a lot of bad in OC Valorant in 2020, but heading into 2021, what is one thing that across the panel, and I'll start with you, Zenox, that do we want to see out of this scene?
I mean, it's hard to say because we don't know, and it's harder than any year going into a new year ever in the history of video games, because we don't know what 2021 is going to look like. Lands, no lands, international, no international, COVID, does it stop, does it get better? Like it's so hard. I think from a regional perspective, what you want is that international pathway. You need to be able to see a pathway forward that gets teams overseas, that gets them playing against other regions, whether it's like a world scenario or not. I'd like to see it like on a semi-regular basis, at least like 2-3 times a year, not just like a once a year thing at the end of the year. And I think that's probably what the teams want themselves. In terms of like what those tournaments are here, I don't even think matters, as long as there's just some pathway internationally.
Yep. Iyen, for yourself?
Yeah, like spot on, dude. Like, I think all the players, or they just want us a fair opportunity to make it a pathway, as you said. Like that's there's nothing else we really want. All we want is a pathway to make it to Worlds. As simple as that. Just like a fair chance, like every other region. I don't see why that's so hard. You don't need, I don't know, you don't need so much money to do that. Like it's just write it in paper and let us do our thing, man. That's it. Like it's just fair chance, really. I don't know.
Do you Racket?
Well, I'm going to go a different route. I suppose what you guys said is completely right. We all have that in our minds. That was the first thing that popped to my mind. But I suppose grassroots is very important as well if you want to keep the longevity within our scene. So community-run tournaments, a lot of folks keeping interest, and content consistently coming in through Riot to make sure that we have these young genetic gaming freaks that are rising up through the ranks, and we keep on seeing this new talent, because we have a bunch of veterans within the scene, but it is exciting to see new talent bred by this game that they were born in.
Yeah. I think that's the number one thing for me is I want to see Valorant pros. I don't want to be CS pros trying it out in Valorant. And I think we are going to see that in 2021. I think that is the sentiment that I want to echo the most as well, is I want to see a really strong domestic scene next year. What that looks like through what Riot does with potential OC domestic tournaments that are pathways into VCT, or just outside of that, like independent things. Like I want to see a strong domestic scene, because the stronger the domestic scene is, the more eyes that we'll have on it. People will start recognizing that if players go overseas and perform well, they will then turn their eyes to what's happening in OC. And if there is the OC competition to back that up, that's how we get a team like 100 Thieves and CSGO overseas. That's how we get our best players actually noticed. And so as much as, I want us looped into the international ecosystem as much as I want the EXO clans and the orders to make it big internationally. I feel like the stronger the domestic scene is at home, the more likely that we're going to have players that can farm it and really make a name for the region on the
But this is
international
where it
scale.
loops. This is where, sorry to cut there, Ducky, but this is where it loops back, where like the domestic scene is not going to be strong if there's no international pathways.
I mean,
Because-
yes, but it is a paradoxical thing, but at the same time, we can wish for both. Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
I mean, that's the dream. That's always the ideal
Yeah.
world where you've got both, where you've got a strong breeding ground, good domestic scene. It's always growing. It's always improving. That also then has the opportunity to go international and to get that recognition, whether it's to just compete in those events or at least be able to get to those events and then get noticed so that you yourself or as a team gets picked up and goes overseas.
But then at the same time, there needs to be something back at home that makes the region worth looking at. That's the thing as well. I think either way, it's just the overall consensus for this is right. Please notice us. It's like, just please turn your eyes to OS. And look, I think
I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon. They just
I
shut up shop.
look-
So,
look,
like,
we can hope. This is a wish list, remember? And I think the number one thing is just as long as players keep putting out content, as long as we're trying to put visibility on the region, it might not be a fruitless endeavor in the end. So
I'll say this. I think that while they have shut up shop in terms of the OCE office, that doesn't mean there's not going to be anything at all. It's very easy for Riot Global or Riot NA to facilitate tournaments and structures and pathways. Whether they've got that in place now, obviously it doesn't seem like there's much in way of that. That doesn't mean by 2022 there isn't then an official pathway. These things take time, especially when in terms of the phase of it. Obviously it was the shutdown phase of the office, so it's hardly like there's a lot really there in terms of a roadmap. I think over the next 6 months, that's probably when they will try and facilitate that, and then probably by mid-year next year they'll be like, hey, this is our plans, and moving forward, and maybe like end of 2021 or into 2022, this is what it will look like. The problem is that you've always got to remember this is still a really fresh title. Like, it may seem like, oh, it's actually been like 8 months now or whatever, but like that's still nothing.
fresh.
That's
Yeah.
nothing.
Look, and I think on that note, as somber as it is at times, but we've got to have some hope at the same time. I think that calls it in for the show for tonight. Not only that, but for the season. It's been 18 episodes of Run It Back this season. If you count the one that we also did special on the Max Invitational. And for all those 18 episodes, I have to extend a massive thank you to the viewers as well as the Valorant Oceanic community. Couldn't have done it without your support. In the future, I really hope that we can continue creating great content for this region so that we can promote players like Iyen and teams like EXO and get them overseas, because that's ultimately what needs to happen. And I am so grateful that we were able to get this podcast on the road so early. A massive thanks has to go out to Joshua Swift, one of the guys that Go Next in Snowball Esports, Swifty. He has done absolute hard yards for this broadcast. Also, you don't see it ever, but a massive hats off also has to go to Whipley for actually getting the gang back together and kicking us into gear and putting in a podcast like we did back in the Overwatch days. 2020 was only the beginning for OCE Valorant, and I hope that 2021 brings on brighter and greener pastures. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Have a good night, guys.